I just want to thank you very much for doing this this documentary. And can you introduce yourself?
I'm in Swearcrow. My name's Mallory Walker, and I'm the drummer.
All right. And can you tell me a bit about your band and its history?
Okay, so 2 years ago, I actually moved to Arizona because I was having some issues here, and I ended up not being able to get my work visa, so I came back. My boyfriend and I had been on a break for a while, and then when I came back, we were still always close, but we decided, you know, we hung out all the time, we decided to get out together, and I was really angry that I couldn't get my work visa, and I was thinking about boxing, and my boyfriend has always played music. His name's Alex Turgeon, he's in the band too, and he was like, no, don't try boxing, why don't you try drumming? And I'm like, I've never drummed before, I can't do that. Well, turns out, after I just did it one day, I can drum. So I've been drumming for 1.5 years, and we started the band. I actually had a dream about a band based on The Wizard of Oz, and it was all the scarecrows, so I called it, and I thought it was funny, so I said, oh, and their name was Swearcrow, and he thought that was hilarious. So we just kind of rolled from it, and we fell into it, and I'm pretty happy about that.
That's awesome. Well, let's see. What are your experiences about the metal scene?
Okay, well, I've been in the scene for quite a while, just as a person that goes to shows. I started going to shows at the embassy and Call the Office while I was in my teens. I grew up on a farm, and my parents would actually drop me off. And I grew up going to a lot of the shows at the embassy. Some of my first shows were with bands like Chasing Mercury, The Reason, things like that, Dillinger Escape Plan, and I used to go to Call the Office to see a lot of the bands that I liked from the States because they would roll through. So I've been just kind of a patron of the scene for quite a while. And I also sang previously, but I sang in blues and jazz, so that had nothing to do with it, but mostly I was just a supporter of the scene.
And what was the scene like, say, in the past and compared to now?
It was amazing. When the embassy was around, which we're actually near right now, it was every night, it was packed. It was great. I've seen a lot of bands come up from nothing here. There's been a lot of bands that I've gone to see that I've paid either $5 or zero cover that now you would pay $60. I credit a lot of what's going on there to Brandon Eady, actually, because he started his scene at the embassy, started Summer Camp Productions, and he's built it from there on. But mostly I just started going to local shows, really enjoying it. As a farm kid, I didn't really have a scene where I came from, so I came to London to do that. It changed a lot in the time. There was a little bit of a lull, but from there it started to kind of build back up, and it's really awesome to see where it is now.
And did you play in any other bands before?
Not previously, no.
And is there anybody really unorganized in your band?
I'm not going to name names, but I will say that we're all a little unorganized at times. I've spent most of my time when I started drumming kit sharing with someone else who I love dearly for. Thank you, Luke. But it's been really anxious for me to not know what I'm walking into, because a lot of the time I don't bring my own equipment for obvious reasons, because a drum kit is huge and takes forever to change. So that's a little bit disorganized, but other than that, we've had a really good run. Honestly, we kind of all are disorganized at times, but I would definitely say I'm the most anxious person in the band, which can cause me to be disorganized, so.
If not playing in a band, is there anything you could see yourself doing?
Well, I'm a bartender. I used to be a hairdresser. Other than that, honestly, I can't believe that I'm doing this, and I'm just lucky for it, and it's kind of beyond my wildest dreams. If anything else, I'm a visual artist as well, so I draw, but this is the one thing that really draws my creativity, so to be honest, no, not really.
All right. What do you feel when you're playing on stage?
I'm not gonna lie to you, most of my shows, regardless of drinking or not, kind of are a blur, because I get so much adrenaline and I'm so excited for the time that I'm getting to spend there, that when I get up there, I'm just so excited and I'm so hyped. I don't even get tired, and by the end of it, I'm sad that it's over.
Okay, oh, that's awesome. How do you prep before a show?
I drink a lot of coffee.
I thought you were gonna say alcohol.
No, a lot of coffee, just so I'm amped and I'm not tired when I'm done. Other than that, we make sure we have like a good meal. Often we have like band meals beforehand. As I said, my boyfriend's in the band. He's an excellent barbecuer, so we do that a lot. So we do that, and we just usually have a practice beforehand, so nothing out of the ordinary.
All right. What do you do when you're not doing a show, or like how do you relax?
I draw a lot. I'm really into illustration. Other than that, we listen to we have a big record collection, so we listen to music all the time, but pretty much always around music. Don't really watch a lot of TV, but to be honest, we get into our jam space as much as possible. It'll be 2 o'clock in the morning sometimes, and I'll be like, I want to go drum, so we just do.
Okay, and so what are your hobbies?
My hobbies are, I enjoy bike riding, and obviously music. Other than that, I draw, I like dancing. You know, some typical girly things, but other than that, I'm kind of a dude about things, so I just like to hang out with my friends and get in whatever trouble we can find.
And what are your opinions on the scene now? Oh, I think I asked that one already, about the like compared to back in the days.
It's just really grown. There's a tighter knit community. People know each other more, and it's really nice to see just how people support each other. I myself have gotten a lot of support from people that I wasn't expecting necessarily to get support from, and it's good because everybody has each other's backs, and we all go to each other's shows, and you know, it's just a really good community to be involved in.
Now tell us what to expect in the future with your band.
We do have a recording coming out soon. Hopefully, we're just waiting on mastering, so we will be releasing some sort of EP, but we're probably going to release it in a tape and CD format and a couple of tracks online. We have a lot of shows coming up in the near future, a lot in March. We're playing a festival in Kitchener-Waterloo on April 20th. Very excited about that. Anyway, we just want to kind of plug it and just get as many shows in as possible.
All right. How much does fans and merchandise mean to you?
Fans are a huge thing. We love having a following. We want people to be happy about the music we play. It's not so much that we want them to be impressed by it, that we want people to feel something from it, and we want people to come out of one of our shows being like, hey, I really like that, I really got a good feeling off of that, and I want to go again. We like to be friends with a lot of the people that we do play with, because I just think it's really important. Music is something that brings everybody together. So we're just really happy, honestly, with the community, and for me personally, it just means a lot to me when somebody comes and sees what I do and is inspired by it, because I spent so many years feeling that way.
And how do you guys promote your shows?
We use Facebook and Instagram. I'm pretty much the sole proprietor of all of that. We do a little bit of postering, but mostly we use Instagram. We'll take like pictures and videos of like us practicing, and then obviously we have our events that we have, so we use that to interact, but we also like to like funny posts, you know what I mean, just to be relatable to people and just not, you know, not make it solely about like, oh, we're playing this thing and you should come because it's cool, right? Because that's not why we want people there. We want people there so that we can share an experience with them. So a lot of that is, you know, just cultivating for the fans, messaging people back on time, getting to know people that come to see us that we don't know already, things like that. We're just really interested in honestly just meeting a lot of people and sharing the love of music with everybody.
And where was the first show you played as a band?
The first show we played as a band, actually, I have to kind of think about this. It was in December. It was at the Richmond, and we happened to play during a pub crawl. We actually had another bassist back then, Chris, who is an incredible guy. He just left because he just was ready to move on, and that's cool. We're still really good friends with you. Love you, Chris. But we played at the Richmond, and it was during a pub crawl, so we had an incredibly packed bar, and we played with, oddly enough, my sister and her acoustic band. They're now known as Karen Parrott. So that was a really great experience that we got to do with them, and yeah, it was at the Richmond, and like the vibe was incredible. The house was packed, and it was, I couldn't have come off, like I've never had a bigger high than I did that night after coming off a show. The adrenaline was amazing.
And What was the worst show experience?
We had a show that we played on a Tuesday, and it was unfortunate because the band that we played with came from very far away. I don't want to give too many details just because, but they came from very far away and they were amazing, but nobody came. And then we had some issues with the promoter, which we have since rectified. But all in all, it was a learning experience, and in the end, it actually brought us all closer together as a band. So I really can't say it was the worst time, but that would be the closest.
Now, do you have any advice for newer bands starting to form, to play shows in the scene?
Just put yourself out there. Love your music. Don't let anybody tell you that what you're doing isn't good or bad, because someone out there is going to love it. As long as you put yourself forward, you really can't lose.
And last question. Would you like to add anything, any shout outs, or where can we find your music?
Okay, I just want to thank, again, my band partners. I want to thank Holden Bat, he's our bassist, and Alex Sturgeon, who is our guitarist and our lead singer. I want to also thank The Nothings and Specs, because they've been really good backers of our music. Same with the band Probably. And without those guys, we couldn't have gotten to where we are. And to be honest, it was just, I came into this by chance, but straight up, I've never been happier, and I just thank everybody for all the support they had. And you can find us on Facebook, and we're just facebook.com/Swearcrow. There will be music up soon. There's other media on there. And Instagram, we're also just at Swearcrow at Instagram.com.
Awesome. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you for your time. And thanks for helping with this documentary.
I appreciate it very much.
Give us a round of applause.
Hey, thank you, Jackery, so much for doing this documentary.
No problem, man. Happy to be here.
Can you introduce yourself and your role in your old band?
My name is Jackery. I am 33 years old and used to play guitar in Hello Amora.
Can you tell me a bit about Hello Amora and its history?
It's a long history of me living in London and loving all the local scene bands and going to shows and just wanting to be on the other side of the stage as opposed to just being in the audience. And it took me a long time to find members because I had a vision that was very different than what a lot of people were doing. So I looked for a really, really long time and found people from out of town. And version 1 of the lineup didn't work out. And spend a lot of time at my job just fucking the dog and being on Kijiji looking for ads of finding new musicians or whatever. But eventually I found people that wanted to take it live, and it continued.
What are your experiences about the scene now?
Can you rephrase that?
All right. What are your experiences about the scene now?
Wait, that's not rephrasing. That's the exact same thing, but you
Alright.
just reset it. But,
Alright.
like, what do you mean by that?
So your overall opinions on it like now
On the scene?
compared to like what it was
Okay.
like 10, 20
Cool.
years ago.
Just so it flows seamlessly, ask the question again and I'll jump into it.
All right. What are your experiences now about the scene to back in the day?
Well, the scene still has a lot of love. A lot of, like, bands try to pick each other up. It's not much of a competition. Every once in a while you see something online where it's bickering, and that doesn't really represent what the scene should be about. But it's usually about a lot of unity, and I guess it's changed a lot in the sense that when I was growing up, I didn't have a really music scene where I grew up north. And it wasn't until I came to London in 2005 where I got thrown into the wolves and saw my first festival that Edie had. It was Aggression Festival, I think 2006 in January. And it was just a crazy impact to see how many bands were there, how many fans would come out, and everyone was like buying merch at the tables, and there'd be after parties where you get to meet and greet friends and bands and such. And it was different, I think, because bands had a really strong work ethic where they were always trying to raise the bar. And I feel like a lot of bands now, they push hard in a live aspect and are constantly touring, but I don't often see bands trying to do anything more than just that. Whereas before, bands would come through like Shotgun Rules, 10-Second Epic, Protest to Hero, and then next thing you know, you see Protest to Hero and 10-Second Epic on Much Music or something like that. Now, granted, we don't have those outlets to promote bands anymore, but we have other things with social media and Spotify and such like that. But the scene used to be bigger, I think, and I think part of the reason it's changed is there's just so many things to do now. Electronic music had a big takeover, which took a lot of the people that would normally go to shows would go to that. And it's just not what it used to be. It's still really enjoyable, and I love being a part of it, and I'm still going to push to be a part of it. It's just very different, and it was kind of magical to be part of the era it was before.
All right. Did you play in any other London bands before other than Hello Amora?
Yeah. Yes, I did. Back when I was in college, I was in this band called Efforts in Vain, and we spelt it VEIN because we were really cool. And it was a train wreck. I hadn't had any live experience besides what I had seen other bands do, and I knew nothing about dialing in my amp tone or anything. And we got our first show at the Whippet Lounge, which is no longer a venue anymore. It kind of burnt down with the embassy. And we had a lot of friends, but we weren't really good at what we were doing. So it was a really good first experience where you got thrown on stage and everything, and the power wasn't really regulated at that side of the venue, so my amp and my pedals blew up mid-performance, and I had to like backup vocals most of the whole set. But I think every musician needs a band to start off with that, like, you know, where they can scrape their knees and learn some mistakes, because if you're not making mistakes, you're never going to grow. So yeah, that was my first experience. And even when I joined Hello Amora, that band had a really good run, and we had a lot of great opportunities put in front of us. And even in that band, like, I made mistakes, and there's things I wish I could have done better. I wish member unity, pushing towards similar goals, could have been the same, but that's not always how it goes. So I don't think you stop learning as a musician. You're always going to be making mistakes and learning from them.
If not playing in a band, is there anything you could see yourself doing?
No, but I do other things. I currently am a photographer. I shoot photos for Suicide Girls and a couple other different clothing places, and I do family stuff, other boudoir, and many things of that nature. I also have a recording studio that my new band has all pitched in for and put together, and I'm not only recording, producing, mixing the new album that we're going to have coming out, but I'm also going to be working with a slew of other artists that are coming to me as well.
What did you feel like? What did you feel emotionally wise when you were playing on stage?
Everything. Freedom, release. It's weird because I get a lot of anxiety and I feel kind of off about a lot of places and things in life, but the stage was the one place where it felt like I was home, and didn't matter if I was like throwing my guitar around and rolling around on the floor and scraping my knees, or falling on a broken glass bottle. Like, being on stage and performing and entertaining and putting on a show, that's where I feel like I need to be. And it's hard to, like, we went to a show tonight and it was hard to watch other bands who are doing what you want to do, and you're so happy for them because they sound great and they're friends of yours, and even if they're not, you're just happy to see live music. But like, you always feel that that's the spot that you need to be.
How do you prep before a show?
Stretch. Always stretch. We call it a bang over when you end up headbanging too much and you end up pulling your neck muscles. I literally look like an octopus frolicking on stage with all my limbs, so I just throw my body in every which direction. So you gotta stretch all your muscles, because that's the worst thing to do, is especially if you're on the road. If you end up getting stiff after a show or two and you still have it at like, another couple weeks of playing, you're screwed. So there's that, and hydrate constantly. If you're on the road, make sure you're eating, healthy. And when the party's going all the times, that's fine, but try to get some sleep in there. I like to sleep after the after party until I get to the venue, and as soon as it's load-in time, I'm awake. I'm like, all right, what do I got to carry, kind of thing. But the trick is to sleep anywhere.
How do you relax, and what are your hobbies?
I don't think I ever relax. I'm very go-go kind of thing. I always have too many projects than I can handle on the go, and time is very valuable to me. I used to love playing video games, but I don't have the time for that anymore. We live in like the golden age of television where there's always something awesome on, and I don't have time for that. So I'm just constantly working the few bit of hours I can to get to sleep. Is that I find actually just working on projects and like getting them done so they're not piling up, that's probably the most relaxing thing for me.
Tell us what to expect in the future for you.
I'm hoping to shift more of my photography towards musical artists. I'm not 100% sure if I'm going to get into live show photography. I'm probably going to stick more to band promo shots. The studio that I'm working on, I'm really proud of what we've put together, and I really excited for just the projects and working with other artists. When you work on your own band stuff, it can get lonely if you're the key writer, just sitting in a room by yourself playing and you're having fun with the music, but you're by yourself. So I'm excited to actually have people bring me their music and trust me and be personable with them and give them experiences that they're trusting you with their music and you're bringing it to life. So I'm excited to make more connections that way, and I have another band on the horizon that I've been slowly building for, and it really took till this studio was built to be able to have the right push. We tried recording other places and it just didn't work out. The engineer really never understood the vision that we had, so had to get educated and really do my research, and we're going to take a stab at it ourselves, and we'll see how it goes.
How much does fans and merchandise mean to you?
Well, fans mean everything. Without them, the show doesn't go on. I love when friends come out and support, but really, really, you're doing something special when you look out into a crowd and you don't see your friends. As much as I love having them at a show, if you see a bunch of strangers loving your music, you know they're doing it because they love your music. Regardless of who it is, if they're singing along, like, that just means that they're actually completely invested in your songs, which is really, like, a great experience for anyone who's ever been in a band before. And as for merchandise, that's like your bread and butter. You maybe guarantee to get you from show to show for gas. If you do well, you can ask for a bit more for your guarantee, and that's based on what you feel the value of your band is. But for the most part, you make most of your money selling merch. So you want to have options. You want to think of your different seasons. So like group fall and winter, hoodies, jackets, like windbreakers, track pants, things like that. And in the summer, have things like t-shirts, tanks. Like t-shirts are probably all year round, but like tanks and shorts and stuff like that, good in the summer. But I think one thing that bands have is a lot of bands have a very specific style that they want to go for. Like hardcore bands, you see very hardcore, simplistic shirts. Metal bands have very metal-esque, satanic, whatever, really busy writing shirts or whatever. But I've always been lucky enough to be part of bands that are very fusion-based, where they take elements from lots of places. So I've been fortunate to be able to have, a couple different designs of merch. And everyone, when they come to a show, they'd be like, oh, that shirt's for me. Because I've been to shows a lot of times where I want to support the band, I'll buy a CD. But if the shirt isn't something that I really think I'll wear and support, I'm just either going to buy a CD or I'm just going to give the band money. You know what I mean? And then they can sell the shirt elsewhere.
Where was the first show you ever played, and what was your worst show experience?
I'll say the first show I played with Hello Amora, which came later. That was at Rum Runners. We opened up for Beartooth and City Lights during City Lights' last show. No one really knew who Beartooth was. We were a pretty big band, so we had not big band is in the sense of popularity, but big band in the sense of a lot of members. And we ended up selling 150 tickets for that first show. And the promoter, Brandon Eady, was hella impressed and bumped us up in the night for future events. But everyone was just stage diving, and it was packed. There was nowhere you could possibly move. And we were kind of sloppy. It was our first show, but the crowds knew the music because we had lyric videos online for a while, and people could follow along the lyrics. So we had everyone knew the music, and everyone was having a good time. I think we played one or two new songs that people didn't know, where they were kind of still, but that's an unfamiliarity thing. But I think my worst show was that one I mentioned just a bit earlier, when the power blew and it fried my equipment. And I didn't actually explain the depth of how much that show sucked when I was in Efforts in Vain. So the equipment all got fried, including the input on my guitar. We had someone go and to the embassy side, and he was like, oh, we got a guitar for you. And I was like, oh, thanks. And someone set up a rig or whatever for me. And the string ended up breaking on the guitar because they played in a completely dropped tuning than I played at the time. So when I tried to tune it up, the string wasn't ready to take that, and it just broke. And I was like, fuck, so pissed. And then some guy, I didn't know how to use any of the gear behind me at the time. So there's a big stack and a big pedal board. And I was super grateful that someone helped me out. But I'm like, I don't know what I'm doing with all of this equipment. Now I would have no problem. But at the time, it was horrible. But some guy comes up to me while I'm playing and trying to make the most and transpose on the spot on all the other strings. And this guy's like, what are you doing with my guitar? And I was like, it was handed to me while I was playing. He's like, that's mine and we need it on stage. I was like, oh, here you go, guy. And it was missing a string, so he was pissed at me. I took the flag for whoever handed it to me, but it wasn't my fault. That was probably the worst show ever.
What is your advice on newer bands starting out in the London scene?
My advice for newer bands would be to don't rush out there. You learn a lot of things live, which is good to experience, but actually focus on writing your music. Write good songs. And then after you do that, play them tightly, learn to invest in yourself. Content is how today's market works. You need to have lots of content on social media to stay active. Everyone wants to see behind the veil into the band. Everyone wants to know what the band's up to. Everyone wants new releases constantly. I would say just really invest in yourself. Don't overdo photo shoots. Maybe limit yourself to one photo shoot per content release kind of thing, so you have like maybe a banner to advertise. And I would say we live in a world where there's so many options when it comes to how you can release your music. I would say either release singles or do a full album. Don't do an EP. Everyone's doing EPs and you just get bored. Like, you don't get any more excited for one song than you do for 5. It's the exact same impact. So either release a single at a time and promise them that an album's coming, or just go ahead and do an album if you have the budget for it. But I think just investing in yourself is the main thing. Don't cheap out. Research your equipment. Learn how to use it. Drill, and like interrogate the minds of anyone who knows who's successfully doing it. Find out what works for them. Try to learn from their mistakes. There's a wealth of information online, but always just try to grow.
Would you like to add anything like shout outs, or where can people find your music?
I don't know. Shout outs to Dead Detail Entertainment. That's what my studio is going to be called. And shout outs to my bandmates. Shout outs to Brandon Eady, Summer Camp Productions. Shout out to Dimitri at the London Music Hall. Shout out to all the bartenders, security, and sound guys, everyone who gets underappreciated. Your jobs are very important. And shout out to my mom. Thanks for making me.
All right. Thank you very much for your time, Jackery, and thanks for me being a huge fan of you and Hello Amora over the years.
Give me a hug, man.
All right.
Hey, thank you so much for doing this documentary.
Thanks for having us. Yeah, absolutely. Appreciate it.
Okay. Can you introduce yourself and your role in the band?
I'm Chris Gooding. I do vocals, Cookie Monster growls, all the good stuff.
I'm Mark Mallory Chandler, and I play the bass, and I sometimes like to Cookie Monster here and there too.
Okay.
Yeah.
And there's a couple people missing?
There is Jay Longo. He plays drums. He's an original member.
Yes.
And Alex, our new guitar player. Yeah, unfortunately, they had to leave early because they're both from out of town. So.
Oh, okay. All right. So can you tell me a bit about your band and its history?
Do you want to field this?
I mean, we aren't the original members, so it's difficult for us to tell you about the beginnings. But as fans of the band from the beginning, we were fans of this band since we grew up. So in '94, when they released the first album, both of us got into the band heavily, and then they released a couple more albums in the late '90s, early 2000s, and I know personally, I'll speak for myself, that it was heavily influential on my style as a musician, as an artist, and then being asked to join the band in the last couple of years was just a huge opportunity for me. And so since we've come back as the new lineup, with Chris and myself joining the band, we've released a couple of albums, and that's where we're at right now.
Yep. For me, I think the first experience with Blood of Christ is when I seen them with, they opened for Cannibal Corpse at the embassy here in town, and I had no idea really who they were, and they blew me away to basically the point where Cannibal Corpse was my favorite band going into that show, and going out of that show, Blood of Christ was my favorite band. So it's just amazing that now I am singing in the band, my favorite band.
It's pretty surreal.
Growing up.
So it's like a dream come true.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely.
Yep.
So what are your experiences about the scene, the metal scene? Do you have any experiences being in the metal scene?
In the London metal scene, there's
Yeah.
been a lot of ups, some downs, because it is a college university city. That sometimes with students coming in and out of the city, there'll be bigger shows or smaller shows, so it's kind of all over the place. When I first started playing in London, which was '99, I believe, with Solus Divine. It was 1963.
It was 1963.
Just after the war.
I got off the boat and I started a metal band. See?
Well, I didn't do that. But,
Thought about it. I get it.
basically, the scene was completely dead. There was a huge heyday after with Blood of Christ, Flesh Feast, Summertime Daisies, Porno,
Yeah.
SFH.
Yeah.
It just kind of died out of nowhere, and when I started with Solus Divine, we played with alternative bands and like pop punk bands because there was nothing else. And then it's been growing, and I think it's probably the best that it has been in the last probably a decade and a half at least. I think.
I'd agree with that, yeah. Like, you come to shows like the one we played tonight, and there's faces I've never seen, but there's faces I see at every show. It's consistency, which is nice, like seeing the people that we recognize, like Kyle and James from the radio, and seeing people like that every time we're here is nice to see. But I'm seeing people I've never seen here before, and that happens every show we play. So yeah, I'd agree with that. And while there's not a lot of venues anymore, like the Embassy was great back in the day, but this venue here at 765 has become quite a hub, and it can only get better. Like, people want it, and hearing about shows coming up at Call the Office and stuff like that, that's monumental, I think, for the city. So
So
it can only
you're
get
saying
better.
it died, and then now you're saying it's growing.
It's going.
I think
growing
it's
up.
rising
Oh, yeah,
for
big
sure.
time.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah, definitely.
Yep.
Now, did any of you guys, or what's that say, did you play in any other London bands before? What other bands did you guys play in before? Wait, yeah.
I know them all.
What was I in? Okay, I moved here and I joined Escatis in the early 2000s. And
Which
then-
were basically the second band after Solus Divine that really gave the second wave push.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, our
And we
our
played
shows
together
were huge.
all the time. That's the other band I played with. Solus Divine.
Yeah, I played in Escatis for a long time, and then after that I joined Orchidectomy, which is from Cambridge. And then after that I started Ataxia, and then I happened to actually join Mullet Corpse as well, and then Blood of Christ, and that I think covers me locally.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's done other stuff too. A
Like
band
overseas
from,
stuff too, right?
Yeah, I've done a lot of stuff overseas, like Russia and Australia,
Oh, wow.
and
New Zealand too, right? Or was that?
no.
Oh, okay.
No.
Like,
Now I'm
Just
making
Australia.
up stories.
Just Australia. Only Australia.
Oh, okay.
Done. I
Well.
haven't hit New Zealand yet.
what bands were they? What's the name of those bands?
The Russian band is called Excoriation.
Okay.
I did a 6-song EP with them, and they actually just asked me to record their next album as well, so it'll be on that as well. Involuntary Convulsion from Australia.
Super brutal band.
Who else? Embodied Torment. I toured with them. They're from California. They asked me to fill in for them. I'm now a member of them. Is that it? I think so. I think that's where I'm at right now.
Wow.
He's busy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got. Yeah.
And then what other bands have have you been?
Well,
I do the vocals.
I do those cookie baskets. I sang in I sang in Solus Divine.
Yeah.
After that, I was in a couple hardcore bands, Oxbaker and Poison Spur, and then I did basically a one-off grindcore thing called Barry Horowitz and the Jobbers. It was like a power violence thing.
Right? This guy gets it.
And that was our only fan applause.
That's the
and then
that's the band of all of this
Yes.
that gets the clap.
yeah, they were a one and done. We played one show, and that was
Literally
it
the
for
clap.
them. Yeah.
Should it be the slow clap or the?
A pat on the back.
Yeah,
Golf
yeah.
clap.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that was it. Blood of Christ. Yeah, it's been it since then.
Okay. And now you want that question removed. Now, if not playing in a band, is
With
there
those guys.
anything you could see yourself doing? Anything other?
Anything else other
Yeah.
than music?
Yeah.
Well, during my hiatus in between bands, I power drank a lot and played video games. And
You got good at that too.
I got pretty good at
Not the video games.
it. Not the video games.
Yeah, no,
Power
the drinking.
drinking.
Yeah,
The
we've
drinking,
done a lot of that.
I got good at that.
Yeah,
But it's nice to have a hobby, so it's
Yeah.
good to be in a band.
Labatt
I
50.
really, I don't know. All I did was just work like a 9-to-5 job that I wanted to kill myself in, and I think a lot of the lyrics from album 4 kind of stem from that. And
Yeah.
so
How about?
I've been a cook my whole life. I've worked in the kitchen.
Okay.
Kind of.
So like a chef? Is that?
Kind of just
Yeah.
by default. That's been my job.
That's good. Because somebody else in another interview said masturbating. So.
I mean, like,
Every 10 seconds.
I mean,
well, we're older, so we don't.
yeah.
Plumbing's just not the same as what it used to be.
Oh my God.
It's hard to do that.
So we're not like the young bloods out there.
True. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
It's like comedy hour.
Yeah. We're
What do you-
gonna get a Netflix special.
Yes.
If we don't, I'm gonna be pissed.
What do you feel like when you're playing on stage? Don't say masturbate.
No.
Like breaking
No.
shit.
For me, I'm in a whole other level. Like, I enjoy crowd reaction and interaction, and I'll look at people that I know, and I'll see their faces and watch what they're doing, so that I can see that they're getting into the music that I'm playing. A big thing for me is crowd interaction.
Okay.
Like I said, like I look at my girlfriend all the time and see what she's looking at, because she's seen me play these songs 5 million times,
Yeah.
and I want to see what she's reacting to compared to what I play when I'm at home.
Okay.
But then I'm also going to look at someone like Kyle, who's seen the songs a bunch of times, and see what his reaction is to the way that we're playing or reacting to how we're playing. And then there's the person that you've never seen before, and looking them in the eye and seeing them just in awe of what you're doing, or not in awe, and arms crossed, and like
Oh, that's
how do you get them not arms crossed?
Okay.
Like,
Well, sometimes it's good. Maybe they're just,
maybe they're
not
just
very
enjoying it.
outgoing,
Yeah,
and
exactly.
You never know.
and
Okay.
just yeah, that's where I'm at. I'm in a complete. A lot of the time I don't even know what I'm doing up there.
Okay.
Same.
Yeah. So everything
Yeah.
that he said. You,
Yeah.
You
Oh, yeah. I can relate to that.
Okay.
Yeah.
You
I
take
think,
a shovel on stage, though, right?
What would you do with a shovel on
Yeah,
stage?
no,
Oh, if you hitting everybody in the head.
Yeah.
I could see you do
That'd be
that.
good,
Because
yeah.
when I watched you, you're like punching in the air. Like,
Yeah, and
would
I
you
like-
be
I like
punching
to try and
people, or
bring something-
Would you want to do that?
No. I
He's
what do you-
I would
really
never-
angry.
I never
Like,
I know, I
go.
know.
Don't make a mistake.
That's like a
Don't make
hard
a
Like
thing,
when, like off the camera, he gets violent with us. It's kind
I
of
see
scary
that.
and it's
I know.
upsetting. I'm just kidding.
He does look
Oh,
angry.
he's amazing.
No, yeah, I try to bring something dynamic to and different to, just the regular headbanging and standing there.
Yeah.
I try to bring some energy to it.
Yeah.
As best as I can and engage the crowd.
But it would be interesting to see him with a shovel.
Yeah.
It would be, but
Physically.
in all reality, he's not angry, and I know
Okay.
he's not. He's adding an extra element to what he's doing, and he's a phenomenal frontman.
I know, that's
I've played
great,
with a bunch
yeah.
of frontmen, and he does a great
very
job at
energetic.
interacting with the crowd and,
Yeah.
and being energetic. So
Yeah.
all jokes aside, like I love being beside this guy. So, yeah.
What a nice guy.
It's good.
All right. Throw you under the bus, pull you right out.
Pull me
Who's
right
the
up.
hero? This guy.
Yeah.
Every time.
Fuck yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm on board.
yeah.
How do you
Netflix special. It's coming.
how do you guys prep before a show?
I usually just kind of, I don't do vocal exercises. I pop a lot of, I think I'm gonna fuck around.
Huh?
They're no narcotics. Fisherman's friend.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Cherry fisherman's friend.
Nice.
I'm gonna get a sponsorship by them soon.
Oh
I
wait,
know
you
it.
pulled that up.
Oh no,
He's
we
not
can cut
doing.
that.
He's not doing
Okay.
this.
Okay, no, I'm
Yeah,
not cutting
no,
it.
that's
But that's
serious.
good. Okay, so something for your throat.
Yeah, and I just usually stretch out my throat, and yeah, that's about it.
So throat exercises.
Yeah, just stretching and stuff. That's
Okay.
about it. I don't really do anything else.
Okay.
For me, I grab a bass and just play around a little bit, do a couple of exercises.
Finger stretching, all that stuff.
Yeah, finger stretching. I got a couple of exercises I do.
Okay.
I usually have a beer or two, just to kind of calm my nerves. I've been playing for 20 years and I'm still nervous on stage.
Wow.
Yeah.
I didn't know that about you.
Absolutely.
I never knew that either.
If we want to be really like authentic,
Yes, please.
I have to poo every time before I play. I have many stories. Yeah, I have many stories of my adventures on making that happen before I could play.
Yeah.
But yeah,
That is hilarious.
I call it my pregame.
Wow.
My
What's
pregame with a poop and a beer. Yeah, that's.
Poop in a beer. That's you
But
know,
you know,
maybe
but-
a lot of people do that before.
But I'd
Like,
rather
I
let
do
it out
that.
in there than let it out on there. So
Right.
that's
What?
you know what? That's
You
where I'm
gotta.
at.
There's a stage show. We can bring it back like Gigi Allen or something like that. We can. Bring,
I'm not into that. though.
Bring the fecal
If you,
show.
if you want me to, I will. But you gotta throw it.
Done.
Did you just?
I get this
Become best
interview.
friends.
I get this interview. Kyle, I get this interview. Thank you. Okay. What?
I just gotta be honest. Like that's what I do.
Okay.
So if you don't see me like 2 minutes before a show,
That's where you
that's
go.
where I'm at.
All right. What do you do when you aren't doing a show? Like, what do you do? How do you relax? What do like when you guys aren't playing? What do you guys do?
Masturbate.
Should I ask?
Basically the same thing as like what the hobbies I said before.
Masturbate.
Yeah. No masturbate.
It came
I
out.
don't know, video games, fishing, drinking with friends, yeah.
Yeah.
Listening to metal.
Yeah, I hang out with my
Poop?
girlfriend. I don't need to. No, that's literally just before on stage. No, I'll spend time with my girlfriend, play with our dogs, play in our studio, just noodle around on bass.
Yeah.
I work, and that's it.
Yeah,
Work around the
a lot of
house
work.
and yeah.
Okay. And now, what are your hobbies? Probably the same question. It's
Same.
probably the same thing.
Yeah.
Everything
Yeah,
is
that's
the
it,
same as
for
that
sure.
same
Yeah.
question. Okay. And so, what are your what are your opinions on the scene now compared to what it was like before? So it's kind of like the same question about the scene, but it's kind of different. Now, I just want to know your opinion about the metal scene.
I think it's really
said-
good.
yeah,
There's
that's
a
better.
lot of, it's not just the same style of bands. It's not just straight up death metal. It's not just straight up one genre of metal. There's all sorts of different varieties of metal. And back in the day, I think there was certain bands that we had played with in the past that were very negative, very confrontational. They were threatened by each other.
Yeah.
And I don't feel
Yeah.
that anymore.
I'd
I
agree
don't
with
think
that.
there's really a competition
Yeah, I'd agree
in the
with that.
scene anymore. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm just not. I don't know. But I'm not feeling that same intimidation or that same. Just everybody was so uptight years and years ago, and now
Maybe it was
everything's
the
just
food.
very everyone's relaxed now because
and I think
they're-
speaking
they're
to that
pooping
too,
the food.
because I'm just saying, man, like you don't know it until you've tried it.
All right, I'll
I'm
take
just,
your word for it.
I think saying to that, a lot of people were where I play death metal, I can't go to a black metal show, or I play grindcore, I can't go to a punk show. Whereas now people are like, there's a local show, let's go to it.
Yeah.
Which is great. Like I said, like tonight there was a lot of people that I have never seen at shows before.
Yeah, like cliquey. They're not as cliquey.
It's not, which is necessary, because you go to, you know, I've played in California, I've played in Vegas and stuff like that, and it doesn't matter who's playing, people go out.
Yeah.
And it's to support that local scene, it's to support what's happening, and I think that's happening again here.
Yes.
And it's good. It's really nice to see. So.
Now, can you tell us what to expect in the future with you guys?
We're coming out with a split CD. It's coming out on CDM Records with Vomit Remnants. They're from Japan. And hopefully we'll be recording that at Ice House Studios.
And Loquin Production.
And
because I live a million miles away.
It'll be a joint effort for sure. And sorry, what's her studio?
Loquin Production.
Loquin.
Yes. So the whole band, to context this whole thing, the whole band is from London, but I live in the Gatineau region of Quebec, and my girlfriend and I own a house, and we have an actual studio in our house. So
Nice.
I'll record all my parts there,
Yeah.
bass and vocals, and then everything else will be recorded at Ice House with Thomas. So.
Yep. And he did our fourth album and our split with Deformatory that we released on 7-inch vinyl with CDN Records too. So, hopefully early summer we'll be recording that, if not sooner. So.
Yeah, we have a couple of songs written already. Now it's just picking which ones we want to do for that split. This is pretty big for us, I would say, based on the Vomit Remnants name. Vomit Remnants is huge in death metal, and so to be able to do a split with those guys is an honor and a privilege.
Yeah, oh for sure. They co-headlined the
Chicago Death Fest. Yeah, they played 2 nights in a row at that festival.
And they're amazing guys. Just very humble, amazing people. So we're really pumped.
We really want to step up our
together.
game for that and do the best we can for that release to make them proud too.
Well, that's good. That's so now that that's out, it's gonna be something to look forward to.
Absolutely, for sure.
Okay. So how much does fans and merchandise mean to you guys?
Like selling merchandise type thing? Or?
Yeah, like getting merchandise out.
Huge. Any kind of support for us is massive. Like we don't have amazing jobs that's funding. We're not gangsters yet.
We close.
But any sort of funding and help from fans, we greatly appreciate. Tonight was really good at this show, and we hope to continue with everybody.
Okay. Now, how do you guys promote your shows?
Usually, because I like to do old school flyering. This show I didn't, but shows in the past, I make it a point and go out and flyer for the promoter.
You mean like
print off flyers?
Yeah, and put them on walls and
Yeah.
stuff like that.
Yeah,
Oh, wow.
and staple them
Yeah.
just around town. Usually I do around 100, 150 copies, but
Wow.
yeah.
That's a
I like
lot.
to do that, and of course Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. Any kind of social media we can, really.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Now, where was the first show that you played at as a band? The
Or
first
ever.
show.
Ever was probably the Whippet Lounge, I think, beside the Embassy with Solus Divine, I think.
For you?
For me.
Yeah. For me? In Stratford, at a place that burned to the ground like 15 years ago.
So both places are no longer there. They
Wow.
both burned to the ground.
That's fucking
Wow,
good news.
that
Yeah, we're
is-
in
Go
good. Yeah.
figure.
Hell yeah.
But now as a band, though.
As Blood of Christ, our
Yeah.
first show with the current lineup that we have now with Alex as our guitarist. Tonight was our first show with him.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
The first show that you and I played was in Toronto,
Yes.
right?
Yeah.
At the place where we played at.
It wasn't Sneaky D's. I can't remember the name of it.
I don't remember where
Is
it
it
was. but
Collision?
No, it wasn't Coalition.
either.
It was another one. I can't
Rockapile,
remember.
I'm thinking. I'm just naming off
I
places.
don't remember. I don't remember where it
That
was.
sounds familiar, actually. Yeah, I could be wrong. I'm not
But
sure.
yeah, that was our first show. I don't know as from the origins of Bill of Christ.
Oh, Bovine Sixlow, was it? Or no?
No, that was later.
It was down the street from Bovine.
Yeah, it was in Toronto
So
somewhere.
Toronto then.
Yeah, it was in Toronto.
And
Okay.
then Blood of Christ as like a band.
Yep.
We don't know that answer.
Yeah, not sure.
Yeah.
They're not sure.
Yeah.
Okay.
We were
So, promote for show. What was your worst show experience? Do you have one, or just something that really
Tons.
Tons.
There's been several fights, I'm sure.
Oh,
through
fights.
I have a couple that are
people
good ones.
triggered or thinking I'm a neo-Nazi because I have a shaved head, which is complete BS. But you know, people get an image of you and they see, you know, extreme music and they judge. They, you know, and you know, it's just not everywhere, or it's everywhere with things, right? You see a death metal shirt and they think you're crazy or something like that.
But does it like a worst show come to mind? Like just a show where things just went like to shit.
I played a show in Denver. It was my first ever show I've ever played in the U.S. I actually thought I was going to get murdered
Oh
that
my
day.
gosh.
They pulled a drunk guy out before the sun went down. There was a guy convulsing on the corner over there.
Was that the place called
Bar Bar.
Bar Bar?
Yeah.
The place is called Bar Bar.
There was the promoter never showed up.
The Richmond Halloween show.
Like,
where,
yeah, like
where that
there-
guy puked on you. Yeah.
Yeah, oh yeah. See that?
Yeah,
There's
always-
a like, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh gosh.
There's a ton. I played a show in Idaho and one person paid to get in. That was actually ended up being a really fun show. We threw a guy around in a garbage can. The guy sat on my shoulders.
Yeah.
Like, yeah,
Oh my god.
keep going forever.
Oh my goodness. Okay,
Yeah.
those are that's good. That's
Yeah,
good.
there's always lots of fun stories.
Do you have one? Do you have one that just, except for
Nothing
you
that's
told me
really
the Nazi
coming.
one.
Nothing that's really coming to mind. Just, we blew a soundboard up in Windsor once. That was that was fun.
Wow. So which means you can't play anymore.
Yeah, I blew it up. And,
Yeah.
yeah, the gig was over. But
Wow.
yeah,
All
that
right.
was minor details, I guess.
Now, what is your advice for newer bands starting to form and play shows in the
You
scene?
want to feel this?
Yeah, work on your music first and not your merch.
That
Like,
Very-
I get that
yeah,
it's
that
cool to have 15 t-shirt designs, but if you have 3 songs, it doesn't really matter unless you're like that good.
Right.
Work on your music, work on your presence on stage, because that's another thing.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Stage presence is huge. I know people have come up to me personally, and him, I'm sure, as well, and said your stage presence is incredible, and that's why I stayed to watch. That's why I play music, is to get people engaged.
Right.
So if you're on stage and you're not engaging people, your music better be really good.
Yeah.
Because it's not going to keep people around,
Yeah.
and then merch isn't going to matter at that point.
And to add on to that, I'd say just be professional. Be honest with your bandmates. Be upfront. Make the band work. Like, don't just flake out and leave, and don't give a reason. You know, you got to communicate with your bandmates all the times. Respect the promoters. Respect the bars. The bartenders. You know, it goes a long way if you just be respectful, be polite. You know, they're thinking, you know, those guys really care, they're really nice people, we're gonna have them back. Or if you're rude or you think you're a rock star, then no one's gonna want you back.
But also in regards to that, remember that you're doing a service too. Like, a lot of the people tonight wouldn't have come here if it wasn't for our name.
Right.
So we deserve to be paid, we deserve to be respected, and we deserve to get what we deserve. So don't just do stuff because you're a nice person. Like, be nice, be courteous to people, but at the end of the day, you are running a business and you're trying to promote yourself. So take what you deserve, get what you deserve, and
Yeah, don't sell yourself short.
don't sell yourself short. Yeah.
Set up a reasonable guarantee that's, you know, not too outrageous, that bars and promoters can
Yeah.
afford. Right?
Absolutely. Yep.
Okay, let's see. Okay, now this is the last question. do you have anything to add or any shout outs? And where can we find your music?
We don't have any music. We have like 91 shirt designs though.
Can we see
going
one?
off the rails
Can we
now.
see one?
Yeah. We're on Spotify as of right now. We have an exclusive shirt design with indie
Put it
merch.
right here.
I got it.
Yeah, but
I zoomed in on it.
okay, but you gotta go back to yeah. Okay.
Yeah, Indie Merch Shop, I believe it is the website.
It's indie merch.
Indie Merch. If you
Indie
Google
merch,
that
you'll find
and search Blood of Christ, we have an exclusive design with them right now, and CDN Records, our record label, have been absolutely amazing for us in promoting our band, promoting album 4, Unrelenting Declivity of Anguish, and the 7-inch split
Yep.
with Deformatory. Craig's been amazing. He runs CDN Records, and we're definitely doing a lot more work with him in the future. And anything else you want to add?
I think that's it. Yeah, CDN and
EMG.
EMG. So we recently signed a management contract with Extreme Management Group.
Yep.
And they've been so helpful already in showing us the little things that you don't think of as a band. From the t-shirt you're wearing to the content you post online. So having their help is, I think, it already has pushed us forward to the next level, and it's only going to get better because we've only been with them for a couple of months. So
Oh, okay.
yeah, there'll be big things coming
Yeah.
from our camp soon from EMG. So,
Nice.
yeah.
Awesome. Very good. We would like to thank you very much from Kyle and myself.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
No problem.
Yeah,
Thank
absolutely.
you so much for your time and for us being fans and for over the years. And thanks for the interview. And then we're gonna play what the amazing concert that we saw.
Awesome.
Saw you guys, all your energy and everything. It was full of people, so there's people in front of the camera. So of what I got, it was packed actually tonight. It was a really good night.
Yeah, really good.
Yeah, it was good.
Really good night.
Yeah.
Awesome.
So thanks again.
Thank
All
you.
right,
And
thank
we'll
you.
cut you guys in for our Netflix special. Thanks very much.
So this next one is a redo off our third album. It's on our split 7-inch. It's out available right now for $10. It's a split with Deformatory, our buddies from Ottawa. This is called Mallory Storyteller. That's not it. That was a Napalm Death song. We'll redo this. White eclipse.
Well, I just want to see if I'm in.
What do I look like, an original member?
Fuck you, Cap.
Fuck you, Kai.
All right.
Okay, sound check. A little bit more here.
Oh, you got to do it backwards.
No, no.
I
Mary.
can't do
Mary.
backwards. Are you
Mary.
insane?
Mary had a little lamb.
Oh man. Woo! Mary had all those little lambs. I don't
Fleece
know.
was
I don't know
white
the fucking-
Okay.
as snow.
Okay,
That's
go
not-
on. Keep going.
I don't remember the rest of it.
Mary had a little lamb.
Mary had a little lamb. Her fleece was white as snow.
And everywhere.
Everywhere that Mary went, her sheep were sure to go.
No, she didn't.
Now try it again. Mary had a little lamb.
You got
Mary
this.
had a little lamb. Words, 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 more words.
Her fleece was white as snow.
There was that.
And everywhere she went, the people, her lambs,
Would call her a hoe.
they would call her a hoe. And they would surely go.
Would surely go
With Shirley.
with Shirley.
Yeah, Shirley would go.
You sure that is the red light on?